on, what we knew by piecing things together without really anyone releasing documents. Listen.
And this is why it's a cover-up. We know that U.S. taxpayer dollars were going to Wuhan, China through EcoHealth. So here we have a virology expert that claimed the consensus among their peers was that COVID was not natural. Part of his research was done via funding from the U.S. government to Peter Daszak and EcoHealth Alliance directly to Dr. Shi in China. He responds with, quote, "I spent New Year's Eve talking with our China contacts. I've got a lot more information, but it's all off the record. All find the genome inconsistent with expectations from an evolutionary theory." That means this was lab made. 2 days prior, he said COVID looked like it was manipulated in a lab. These are the conversations people like Fauci were having in private. Meanwhile, in public, they were denying everything and diverting attention. The dangerous sentences that were redacted and that quote, "There was a suspicion that this mutation was intentionally inserted." Wait, what?
If scientists and journalists spoke out about any of this, they were silenced immediately. We were demonetized for a very long time because this network would not play the game. There was too many things wrong. In 2021, I did a special just connecting the dots. There's one man, and I think he deserves an awful lot of credit, Rand Paul, who was like a dog with a bone. Being a doctor and a senator, he didn't have to play those games. And he knew Fauci was lying. Now, with Matt Kibbe, some people are going to pay. Matt Kibbe is a Blaze TV host of Kibbe on Liberty. He's also the president of Free the People, who we have partnered with to air tonight's documentary all about the cover-up as it comes crumbling down. My friend Matt Kibbe, how are you?
I feel like we've been working up to this moment for years now.
We have. And people, nobody thinks anybody's going to pay. But I actually believe, because of what you're going to start showing tonight, and with Rand Paul, it's going to happen.
You know, you were right to your special in 2021 was one of the triggers that my wife would tell you that you've made her life insufferable because I'm just obsessed about this stuff.
I know, right?
And I've been obsessed now for 4+ years. And I started off just having sort of a libertarian instinct that these authoritarian measures just didn't make sense and they were going to create so much collateral damage. But when you start going down the rabbit hole, you peel away the layers of the onion, and it's something so much bigger than me as a cynical libertarian that always expects government to screw up.
Oh no, this is.
But now I'm seeing this big thing, and I don't have a chalkboard, but I have one of those crazy quilt things where you use yarn to
right.
to draw one line to another,
right.
and that was really the a lot of inspirations for the series. A lot of conversations I've had both on camera and off with Rand Paul, who also was a dog with a bone that just wouldn't let Fauci get away with it. I mean, he's a doctor, so he instinctually could understand some of the claims just didn't make sense.
Correct.
Me as an economist, I'm way outside of my lane now, but we all had to become epidemiologists, right?
The one thing we had in common, you and I at least, because you're an economist, I'm just a alcoholic DJ that just found himself here. But the one thing we had in common was it doesn't make sense. And when it doesn't make sense, you can either sit in your little hole and dream up, conspiracies, or you can start digging and looking for the facts. And Matt, I had, at the time, you know this because you watched it, at the time, I had just enough of their conversations and enough of, wait a minute, this guy went into the meeting, these two went into the meeting, and they changed their mind, and they were hardcore. Why did they change their mind? Wait a minute. This email, redacted, looks as though Fauci and Daszak are colluding to change the narrative, and they know what's going on. Now you have the goods. Tell me what you have found and what is now available.
So, I mean, and it's been a pretty banner couple weeks on this stuff because a lot of Fauci's deputies are starting to talk.
I think they know there is trouble coming.
Right. They know that trouble's coming. So we had a former NIH director announce in testimony that of course we were doing gain of function research.
Jeez.
So pretty much a smoking gun where Fauci is constantly calling Senator Paul
a liar.
The oversight, the responsibility, the constitutional responsibility, you have a mid-level bureaucrat calling him a liar. I'm like, okay, there's something there.
Yeah.
So you start to unweave these things. And the scary thing about this series is really trying to be open-minded about how far we're going to go. But I think this is a story much bigger than simply rogue bureaucrats chasing money and power. It's much bigger than even sort of arrogant scientists saying, I can redesign these viruses and not cause anything else.
I'm more powerful than God or nature.
You're just peeling it back, and this is what Jay Bhattacharya tells me in the first episode. This wasn't a public health response. It certainly wasn't a scientific response. It probably is a national security response. And why are they even involved? And that's, to me...
No, wait. What do you mean by that? It's a national security response.
I mean that the actors, and we still don't know who they all are, don't work at NIH. They don't work at the CDC. They work in the alphabet agencies, starting with Homeland Security.
Fill me in on that, because I didn't see that coming. I thought we were going to go to the Pentagon. Tell me about Homeland Security.
Well, Homeland Security, FBI, maybe the CIA, but they use words that don't explicitly say CIA. But it's funny, you
really? The CIA wouldn't be clear on something?
You slipped up and earlier and said 2001 instead of 2021,
right?
Which was a Freudian slip, because I think this story goes back to the response to anthrax and the response to the war on terror and a bipartisan obsession with bioterrorism. Both Cheney in the Bush White House, Joe Biden, a guy you may have heard of before, who was...
And he occasionally has heard that name before.
Yeah. I don't know.
I know that name for some reason.
I don't know if you would recognize that.
I know.
But we're discovering, I believe, and uncovering a mad science experiment driven by the security agencies to come up with this grandiose mad science experiment where we're going to imagine what our enemies might do to us. We're going to go harvest those viruses. We're going to manipulate them. And then we're going to come up with a solution to everything.
Okay, so wait. But, people don't understand. Congress got to do something. No, that's the Constitution is meant to slow people down because there's something happens and you're like, we've got to act now. No, but can you give anyone at that time, if that's where you believe this starts, the benefit of the doubt that they honestly thought maybe they were doing the right thing?
Oh, I think we should still assume that arrogant and misguided people with too much power and too much belief that they're smart enough to do such wild, crazy things,
right,
we're explicitly trying to come up with a response to some biosecurity threat. Remember, anthrax was a scare, and we didn't know who did it or why they did it, and we probably still don't know who or why. But they were saying we need a response. What if our worst enemies come up with a deadly virus and destroy us? You have to ask how we ended up in China building dangerous viruses.
Yes, you do.
But I think Jay Bhattacharya, who I talked to in this first episode, he believes that it was a well-meaning but catastrophically dangerous and stupid policy.
And I think if Fauci would have come out right away and said, we were involved, we were doing this, that's probably at least a chance of that, but we were well-meaning, he would have paid a big price for it because it was against the law, but people would have kind of understood. But the minute he started being draconian and making us pay for his life, he was doomed.
Yeah.
Doomed.
Yeah. So I think there's two pieces of that. He's obviously being a consummate apparatchik. He's a bureaucrat. He's a climber. He's politically savvy on TV. He knows how to lie well. But I also think there was this philosophical, ideological bent that all of these central planners had.
Yes.
They actually believe that they can rationally redesign civil society from the top down, giving scientists and other experts all the power. This is the whole basis.
Civil society 2.0.
Yeah.
That's the whole color revolution thing. They can redesign. It's the Fabian socialists.
It goes all the way back. I mean, the entire progressive movement was this arrogance, right? But it goes back before that. The guy that founded socialism, a French aristocrat, he actually had this vision where he would replace civil society with a council of scientists.
Correct.
And they would just rearrange the dominoes, and we're just molecules, I guess, in this scenario.
Right. All right. More in just a minute. This episode, by the way, it's a pilot episode tonight. I'm sorry, it's not tonight. It's right now. Sorry, if it, used to TV. So right now you can stream it, Blaze TV. It's available for all subs at blazetv.com. If you're not a subscriber, go to blazetv.com/Glenn. Use the promo code Fauci Lied to get $30 off. It is, this is the goods. This is the goods. This is a pilot of a series, but they've got the goods. And, later they get into Rand Paul, who is never going to let this go, is he?
He said that to me yesterday.